Hi guys, it's Beth. Welcome to my channel, Bourbon Creek Crafts, and today I am sharing with you the projects I have made for the Smash That Small Paper Pad collab, which is hosted by Deb over at Deb Hauk's Crafty Cottage. And basically we use a pad smaller than 12 by 12 each month, or we focus on using those pads up until they're gone. This month I focused on the Yes Please paper pad, a 6x6 by My Mind's Eye. And I kind of focused on wedding and graduation. Just, it's that time of year, and just with the golds, the creams, and the blacks, and then, you know, the celebrate. I don't know, it just kind of lent itself to graduation, wedding, those kinds of events in my mind. So actually, the first thing I made with the pad at the beginning of the month were some graduation cards, and I used the May 2021 Sheetload of Cards sketch by Call Me Crafty Owl, and so I did make 6, like 3 of each version of the cards, brought in some gold foil or mirror cardstock, whatever you want to call it, made some kind of elegant graduation cards. And then I try to incorporate 12 by 12 layouts into every pad or kit or collection that I use up, just because many of you know that I'm on a quest to try and get somewhat caught up on my scrapbooking, my personal scrapbooking. And so I decided I did have a graduation. It's from May of 2015. It's my niece's graduation from college. And so I decided to use some of the paper for these layouts. So I have 3 different layouts. 2 are very similar. So basically I took some strips of the 6x6 and, you know, just cut the pages into strips and then layered them, kind of sliced them in half, and then layered half of the strip end on this side and then half on this side. And I did kind of flip-flop, so it's not meant to look like it's going all the way through. I did kind of change up the order of how the papers fall. But that is one way, you know, that you can use 6x6 on a 12 by 12 layout, is you can just put it behind pictures or other elements, and you can always cut it in half and make it look longer than it really is. So then I also brought in the paper. I took some of the scraps. I kind of did the basic layout and then left it alone, and then came back in after I had finished making all of my cards and used some of the scraps. I created a little layered heart here with the scrap of the polka dot with a gold foil heart. Here I layered 2 of the papers. I have there's a plaid that's a scallop circle with this gold dot, polka dot circle layer, and then I just added a graduation cap on there. And then down here I did 2 gold foil hearts with 2 black polka dot hearts from the paper. So, you know, nothing overly elaborate, but I think that the foil and the black and the cream just kind of make it look like a very elegant layout. So that's layout number 1. And then I have 2 that are very similar, and I used the paper a couple different ways on these layouts. First, there were 2 sheets of this paper that said Celebrate. And so I, again, cut them into strips, and I matched 2 strips together up here at the very top. And you can hardly tell, you know, you guys might be able to see it close up there, but I basically just kind of overlapped them so that the E's met up here. And then I did the same thing at the bottom, but the bottom part's covered up by this heart here. So again, it makes it look like it's one continuous strip going all the way across, because this block is about 8.5 inches square. So that's kind of one way to stretch the paper. And then this big heart was just this heart on a black polka dot background. And so I just fussy cut the heart out and decided to kind of use that as my title piece. And again, it covers kind of where the seam is on this bottom strip. And again, I kind of put this main square together, this main block together, and then kind of left it, and then came back at the end and brought in this black and cream polka dot paper. Was actually kind of what was left from the bottom part of where I fussy cut the heart out. And so I just kind of trimmed it into a triangle and just put it back here just to kind of act as an offset for my heart. And then brought in another scrap of that cream and gold polka dot. And then down here, this is just another like gold polka dot strip that I brought in. A little element I created, did a little 1-inch scallop punch and brought in a little gold foil flower, and then another little punch, heart punch from pad, and then several little of the black polka dot punches. And then actually here, my date is on another strip, like scrap strip. This had some gold foil with black, like part of the, it was kind of a weird geometric pattern. So that's layout number 1. Layout number 2 is very similar. I did the same thing with the celebrate and with the heart. But here again, I did another triangle of that black polka dot. This is just a longer strip of some foiled heart pattern paper. And then brought in some little strips over here because I forgot that I had put these pictures on, like backwards orientation from this first layout. And so I just kind of got into a rhythm where I put the triangle and the strip up here on this side, and I did the same thing on this one, and then realized my heart was going over here because of the blank space in this picture. So I pulled in some more strips over here to kind of balance it out so it wasn't totally one-sided. Did another one of those little layered embellishments and then brought in some more of those hearts. So 3 layouts, 3 12 by 12 layouts from some 6 by 6 paper. Thought that was pretty good. So this next project isn't finished, but I've already know how I'm going to use the paper, so I'm counting it in my smashed stash here. But I make a block set that says Mr. and Mrs. And I've made it in like just kind of different styles, like rustic. I've got like a more of a black and cream one. So I decided to make more of a glam set. And so it's going to have in black Mr. and then an ampersand sign for Anne and then Mrs. on here. And I think the black, it's like a thick font. And so I think it will stand out on all of the gold. So I'm just going to use Mod Podge to apply the paper, and then it's black vinyl that goes on for the words, and then it gets sealed. So I will try to share pictures probably on Instagram. So if you follow me over there, you can see what the finished product of this project will look like. I just hadn't had time to get those put together before I needed to get the video posted for the collaboration date. And then I have 20 more cards, and I used sketches for the most part, and I tried to make at least 2 of each sketch if I could. Just kind of made it go a little bit faster. So this is Sweet Sunday number 220, and I did graduation. So these are just die cuts that I cut from my silhouette, and then actually these congrats sentiments also were printed from my silhouette. I wanted something, I didn't have a bigger congratulations type stamp, so just pretty simple. And then on the insides of each card, as always, I do have scraps to help me use up the last little bits. My favorite things, number 352. So this one I actually did a thank you, and this was actually done towards the end. So I just used 2 strips here, and then whatever rectangle piece I had left, I just kind of used for this element. And then I brought in some of that gold foil. I cut it into a little scalloped circle, and then added a thank you. And then this one I actually did a Mother's Day. Again, brought in whatever pieces of paper I had left that worked for each of the elements. This time I did a pattern on the circle and then did Happy Mother's Day as a strip over here. Sweet Sunday number 300. This one is graduation. Brought in another one of those little graduation cap die cuts, and then several different pieces of paper. And actually here, these are just black strips so these are all, I use cream card bases on all of them. And in most cases, I just use some black cardstock to make my mat, these are A2 cards. So my mats, my black cardstock mats were all 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So once I cut down a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, I had, there was always a thin strip left. So this one actually kind of allowed for a thin edge. And so because I knew the pattern paper I was using wasn't going to stand out on the cream cardstock, I brought in some of those strips I had left from cutting down my card mats to create a border at the top and the bottom. And then just use some different patterns, a big black scallop circle and a stitched circle from the pattern paper, and then a congrats stamp. Same thing, just different papers because I was using what I had left. This is I Heart Sketches from September 2011. And this is a wedding theme. And use a couple different patterns here. Brought in some gold foil cardstock for this strip and some little hearts. This Mr. and Mrs. is one that I printed from my silhouette. And then on the insides of these, if they didn't have like the congratulations on the front, like sometimes I may have just put a graduation cap or Mr. and Mrs. or some type of wedding element. And then on the inside, I actually did do a stamped sentiment, which normally I don't do, but I did do on a lot of these. This is Mojo Monday, number 449. Did actually happy birthday for this one. And on all of these, I used I had enough paper to do the same patterned layout for all of them, but I may have switched up the sentiment. And then I did bring in some gold foil circles over here just to balance out the gold. So I have 2 happy birthdays and then 2 graduations. And again, here is one where I stamped on the inside since it's just the graduation cap. Mojo Monday, number 361. This one's happy birthday. So this was kind of towards the end, and I just used like whatever pieces I had left that were big enough to make my 2 sizes of squares, and then brought in some little punched hearts over here. So this one I did as a wedding card. This cute little couple with the heart I actually printed from my silhouette. Mojo Monday, number 423. And this one, I had a bride-to-be sentiment that I had printed from my silhouette, so I decided to make this kind of like a bridal shower card. Again, just brought in, there's lots of gold and black on this one, kind of jazzes it up quite a bit. This time, instead of the black cardstock mat, I actually used the black kind of floral with gold design. And then here I'm back to my black cardstock mat. So these 2 are pretty much the same. This Mr. and Mrs. Happily Ever After is a sentiment I printed from my silhouette. And then just brought in some gold foil cardstock as my circle. And this is a sketch you see all the time, Operation Right Home, number 154. It's just perfect for the last little bits of these 6x6 pads. And just used whatever pieces I had left that I could get 1.5 inch squares out of. And backed it on some gold, some of that gold cardstock. And then down here, I backed a strip of the pattern on some more gold. And then brought in some hearts. And then one of those Mr. and Mrs. sentiments that I printed from my silhouette. And in this case, I had printed 3 across, and for some reason I just didn't allow enough room for this one to be punched out. And so I ended up kind of coming and fussy cutting around the shape of like the hearts and the arrows. So, and then the last two, I didn't use a sketch. I was just kind of using the bits I had left. I had 2 squares of this heart paper and then strips of this other like cream heart paper. And so I just, again, used the black card mat, put my strip down, and then thought it would look better if I separated the cream, since it's kind of a plain pattern, to separate it from the cream from the black. So I used some strips of that gold mirror cardstock, foil, whatever. And then another one of those little couple printouts that I had, and then backed it on a black scallop, and then just brought in some black cardstock hearts to kind of give it a little more on the front. And again, stamped on the inside since there's no actual sentiment on the front. So those are, I actually ended up with a total of 26 cards if you count what I made from Call Me Crafty Owl. And then I've got the block set and 3 12 by 12 layouts. So pretty good. This was a full pad when I started it. It had 24 sheets. So 3 layouts, 26 cards, and a block set. I call that a win, and this pad is smashed. So I'm not quite sure yet what I will be using for June, so please come back next month to see what I've used and how I used it. This is a collaboration, so there are other participants that are also working on using up smaller pads each month. Please be sure to check them out and all of their wonderful ideas and projects in the description box below. They will all be linked. Thank you guys so much for your time today. And I am really pushing to hit 10,000 by the end of this year. I'm around 8,000 subscribers right now, so I'd have to get 2,000 more by the end of this year, 2021. So if you are watching and you have not yet subscribed, I would really love it if you enjoy my videos, if you would please take the time to subscribe to my channel so that you will, be able to see all of the projects that I make in the future as well. Because if you have watched my videos, I love using up paper in my stash, and I'm a patterned paper junkie, so I have all kinds of projects on how to use patterned paper. But I thank you guys so much for your time today, and I hope you're all having a very wonderful day.